And good evening, everybody, and welcome to the season finale of 2020 for Space Fam. It's so good to see you all tonight. Well, to be with you tonight, not see you. I can only see the 5 people in front of me, but you know what I mean. I'm Ron Sparkman. You probably know that already. If you don't, I do all kinds of cool things. I work for the Space Foundation, Explore Mars, and I am the creator, founder, CEO of Stardom. And tonight I have an exceptional panel to wrap up the new year. There's been so much going on. As usual, a wildly diverse and awesome panel is with us tonight. So Jake, let's go to you first to give introductions. Tell everybody all the cool stuff that you do and how you got interested in space and where people can find you and see all the awesome stuff you're up to.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so my name's Jake Robbins, and I'm a content creator. I guess I do a lot of podcasting, getting into some more web-based kind of interactive experiences and stuff that I plan on working on in the next year. So I'm very excited about that. But I love space. I love planets. I love Mars especially. So you might know my podcast, We Martians, where I talk to scientists, engineers, communicators, all kinds of really interesting people that are working, hands-on, doing science on Mars and all those kinds of things. And I also do another show called Off Nominal, which is a little bit more casual. It's less interview a scientist and more let's have a drink and have a little bit of fun. We do that about once a month. We just had our end of the season show yesterday, actually, so we're pretty excited about that. But so I mean, I just fell in love with space and I wanted to be a part of it. So I started making stuff. This is the only skill set I have. I can't be an astronaut. I can't go and do science. And so this is where I'm at, and I'm really excited about it, and I have a lot of fun.
Well stated. I completely understand. Like, what can I do? I can talk on a microphone and talk with people about stuff.
I'm great.
I'm really interested. So, yeah, I can do that all day. Wait, somebody's going to pay me to do that?
Yeah.
Sweet. So up next, we're going to go to Amy Oliver. Amy, let everybody know the cool stuff you do out in the middle of nowhere and how excited you are to finally have internet where you live.
So I'm Amy Oliver. I'm the Visitor and Science Center Manager for the Fred Lawrence Whipple Observatory in Amato, Arizona. And that is part of the Smithsonian Institution's Astrophysical Observatory, which is a collaboration between the Smithsonian and Harvard University. And it almost looks like, I think actually my lips are not following my internet again, but I do live in a place you've never heard of in Arizona, and that means we have weird internet here. So there's a lot of things about technology that haven't quite caught up with how awesome we are at astrophysics. I'm also a NASA JPL Solar System Ambassador, so big shout out to NASA. That is a volunteer program, and what we do is we hawk science. So we want everyone to love science. I am also a freelance journalist at Earth Sky. So if you read Earth Sky, you actually probably saw an article by me yesterday.
Always busy, and we'll talk a little bit about that because, like, the Great Conjunction, you have been like the queen of the conjunction for real. Like, it's hard to not have seen a quote from you in the last few weeks. So we're definitely going to talk about that tonight. How can we not? It's the next big upcoming thing in the astronomy rocket launch world. So very exciting. Next up, SpaceKind superstar, the one and only Loretta Whitesides. If you don't know Loretta, you don't realize that you know Loretta if you're in the space industry. I would be shocked if you don't. So Loretta, let everybody know all the laundry list of things you do, and we'll be back in 15 minutes because it's a long list.
Well, I did try to go the scientist astronaut route and bailed out after a couple of years in my PhD program and decided to do space evangelism full time. I'm having a blast. I started Yuri's Night in 2001, which is our annual World Space Party. Celebrates the conjunction of the Soviet space anniversary, the first human to go into space, Yuri Gagarin, April 12th, and the first American space shuttle, April 12th, 1981. So 20 years later to the day, not planned. And so we thought this was a really cool way to celebrate the power of space to bring the world together. So 2001, we started throwing these, inviting people around, it's like St. Patrick's Day for space, like just whatever you are, wherever you're doing, April 12th or the Saturday before, get your people together, bring in artists, bring in musicians, with your engineers and science space friends. And, we all love, what the common thing is we all love space. So we've had, Bill Nye and Buzz Aldrin, and last year we had Duran Duran on the webcast, and, Chris Hadfield, and we had Bob Weir from the Grateful Dead, and we've had Pharrell play at NASA Ames, and it's just all kinds of amazing fun. We like to make space cool and fun by bringing the art and the music into the experience, and making it available to everyone to come and participate. So that's I started that, and that's been a lot of fun. It'll be the 60th, 40th, and 20th anniversaries in April 21. So we're already getting ready for that, and we're super excited. So we're going to be doing another global webcast on Saturday, April 10th. So tune in for that, yurisnight.net. And, putting together an awesome lineup. We're already talking to OK Go, who do the really cool videos.
Yes.
We did the 0G video, so we're
awesome.
Working with them to be involved in the webcast for this year. So we're super excited for that. And then I'm also a Virgin Galactic future astronaut. So I bought tickets to do a suborbital space flight with my husband back in 2005. So I gave up on the government astronaut path, but then I thought, there's another way to do it. So and after 15 years of being a future astronaut, I'm sure it's got to be right around the corner. I'm sure, like next 2 years for sure this time, for real. And then Space Kind. I'm a Jedi at heart. I mean, I'm a Star Wars kid to my bones. Love Star Trek and all things, but I'm a Jedi. That's just who I am. So we started Space Kind as sort of. I've always had this like fantasy. Dream. Goal. Yes, very professional. Of creating like a pan-industry Jedi council. And so Space Kind is an 8-week training program. We meet once a week on Zoom and help train you to be more Jedi-like, to be the person you've always wanted to be, to listen, to fulfill your goals, to be like courageous and authentic and have integrity and help us, be the kind of people that any of us would be proud to send to another solar system. And our next Space Kind training starts January 11th at noon Pacific. We do one every Monday, 1 hour sessions every Monday. I have a book out called The New Right Stuff, using space to bring out the best in you. And that's our textbook for the class. And I love all things space. I work with people outside of space, and I just love space people. So that's why I'm here on a Saturday night. My kids are downstairs watching Christmas movies with their dad. But I love making a difference for people who are drawn to and passionate about space. And that's who you all are. And so that's why I'm here.
Thank you so much for joining us, Loretta. And I will give a personal recommendation. I did the first virtual Space Kind that I'm aware of. We were the first class. Yeah, totally. So that was pretty awesome earlier this year. It was nice to do in the middle of all the crazy stuff that was going on with COVID. There wasn't really a lot happening. So it's like, hey, can we find something interesting? And it really is truly a wonderful group of people that are attracted to this sort of thing. And absolutely had a blast. So I can't say enough great things about it. So Maynard, I want to go to you next, man. Tell everybody all the cool stuff you do, how you got your teeth that white. I'm super jelly, and all the awesome stuff that you're up to, my friend.
Yes. What's up, everybody? Thanks again for having me on this platform. This will be my second time, I think, on Space Fam. So I'm excited to be here part of the finale.
Technically, your third.
My third?
Because you came on late in the show for my birthday show.
Yeah.
After Neil left, you're like, I'm going to be your replacement African American.
Yeah.
Which everybody lost it.
Neil deGrasse.
It's like I want to be the replacement Neil deGrasse Tyson. How's it going, everybody? And the funny thing was like he was supposed to be on the show to begin with, but he was busy. Honestly, I think it might have been something that you were up to preparing for what just happened.
Yeah,
I think is what it was. So you got to tell. You want to tell everybody about the cool thing that you just did now, or you want to tell everybody about it later?
I guess I'll go into the flow of it. I'll start off with who the hell I am first, I guess. And
do it. I love
it. But yes, this would be my third official time. As luckily, I'm not a substitute to Neil deGrasse's time. But my name is Maynard Okereke. Also go by the Hip Hop MD. I'm a science communicator. I have a platform called Hip Hop Science. A little bit about my background. I studied civil environmental engineering at the University of Washington in Seattle. Go Huskies. And I worked as an engineer for a number of years after graduating with the engineering firm, doing a lot of heavy infrastructure, high rises, condominium, stadium projects. And at the same time, I was always just a music nut. I've always been into hip hop, music, entertainment, acting, Hollywood, entertainment as well. And I was doing a lot of commercial work while I was truly, working as an engineer, and some opportunities opened up, and I made the transition to LA, which is where I'm at now, to pursue my aspirations in entertainment. And I've been working here as an actor for a while and doing music projects, different things. But I've always had an intrinsic love for science, space, biology, wildlife, chemistry, all that. And I really wanted to find a way to be able to merge my two passions together. And that's kind of the culmination of Hip Hop Science. It's really what I do through my platform is I utilize entertainment, pop culture, music as tools to educate on a variety of different scientific subjects, all really with the goal of encouraging more minority and youth involvement into the STEM fields. And so that's what I do right now, full-time. Well, I guess full-time and part-time in a way. I guess I don't know how you really describe it, how I balance my time, but I also have a seasoning company, which is now turned into a plant-based, health-conscious company because we just debuted a new product called Jada Brands, and we carry a line of all-purpose vegan seasonings and also new easy dry mix plant-based chicken. And we debuted a new product on Shark Tank about a month ago now. And so things have been pretty crazy. Really, that kind of came about with the goal of really trying to find a way to be more sustainable and be able to introduce more vegan, plant-based, health-conscious products into the market. And me and my business partner have been doing that for the past 4 years, grinding in combination with everything that I'm doing on the science side. And so now things are taking off. We're introducing new plant-based products into the market, and hopefully we're setting some trends out here. And you know, me and Ron, we got connected a while back through this crazy science and music world, and so it's really dope, the platform, and it's really cool to actually connect with Loretta because I've been a big fan of yours as well too. And you know, I was watching Yuri's Night, you know, virtually this past year, and loving the cool things that's been going on. So glad to be part of this discussion.
Glad to have you on, and we should also specify that he said he debuted on Shark Tank, but they actually got a shark to support them, to invest. So just to make that extra clear, that like not only because plenty of people have gotten on the show and then caught somebody's eye afterwards, but he literally there was a couple people that were kind of fighting over it a little bit, and I can't remember which shark it was, but one of the sharks actually picked it up. So that I know that's been exciting and also sleepless nights for you. Yeah,
we've been working with Barbara Cochran. She's been our official partner, and she's been amazing. She's been a huge support, helping us out with everything strategically, logistics, and the whole rebranding that we're going through right now. So it's been an awesome experience. It's been something that I've never experienced before, and you know, we had to kind of shut down sales because everything was going crazy. We couldn't keep up logistically, but now we've kind of scaled a little bit. We got some new things in place, so learning a lot of things on the fly right now.
Love it, man. Congratulations to you. You deserve it. You have, you know, I've been watching all year, and you've had a stellar year, man. So glad to have you on. And next up, Derek. Let's talk about all the amazing things you do. So this was kind of funny. I did not mean to have Amy and Derek on the same show, knowing that they work together all the time. Like, Derek was supposed to be on some weeks ago. We think that it was going to be the planetarium show. We can't remember exactly, but we know we've talked about it a few times. And it so happens he ends up being on with a friend that he does star parties with. And apparently he's a very busy guy. So Derek, tell everybody all the awesome stuff that you do. And give us the details where people can find you and all the awesome work that you're up to.
All right. Well, thanks, Ron. Thanks everybody for having me out here today. Or tonight, I should say, or whatever time it is in your time zone. But anyways, my name is Derek Demeter. I'm the planetarium director at the Emil Buehler Planetarium at Seminole State College in Florida. And basically, I've been obsessed with space since I was a little kid. And I'm just happened to be in a field where I can mix a lot of my interest in, just kind of like Maynard. I've been interested in all kinds of different things, from art to 3D graphics to, presenting programs to people of all ages. And of course, I get to do that in the planetarium field. I can design shows and also go out and give night sky programs and set up telescopes and things like that. And of course, with the pandemic that happened, it was really tough for me because I'm a very extroverted, outward, going out all over the world, giving programs and night sky tours and all kinds of stuff. And we started doing some virtual star parties at the beginning of the pandemic, and that's actually how I met Amy, with working with her with the national star parties as well. So just love being able to share my passion for astronomy and the night sky with everybody. I'm also a very adamant person with preserving the night sky. I work with the International Dark Sky Association and trying to push better lighting ordinances and things like that. We worked with a park here in Florida called Kissimmee Prairie Preserve and made that the first official park in Florida as a dark sky preservation. So I know a lot of people out west, they're like, no big deal, we have dark skies. Well, It's actually a big deal in the state of Florida because we're a very fast-growing population, and we're losing our skies. So it's very important that we're working on other locations as well for that. And one of my passions also is photography, and I'm a pretty, just obsessed astrophotographer. I do deep space astrophotography, nightscapes, things like that. My photos have been featured on publications, including NASA's Picture of the Day. I think I had one a couple months ago with the ISS transit. That was my latest one. But I just love telling stories, and through photography, I can tell a story about our universe in that means. So it's just a great way of doing that. But anyway, so we actually doing a lot of virtual programs right now. So if you like space, you like astronomy, and you like that, join us in some of our virtual programs. Our Facebook, Instagram, other social medias, basically Seminal Planets. So you can find us on the web pretty easily, and hope to have you out and explore the wonders of the universe with us. On a flip note, my other hobbies, some of you know, I do scuba diving, and I'm also a treasure hunter, and I do fossil hunting and rock collecting stuff. So I like to post a lot about that as well. Show people some of the amazing things of our planet. So anyway, so thank you for having me out, and looking forward to spending the evening with you all.
Man, you sound super boring, man. You should really get some more interesting things to do. And that's actually something that I found kind of fascinating, and I've talked about this on shows before, is that before I fell in love with space and really got into this, I did not like to go out. I didn't want to be in the local river. I'm like, something's going to bite me. Something's going to get me. I didn't like to hike. I grew up in West Virginia and never went out and looked at the night sky. And since then, it's been, multiple continents, climbing some of the, tallest mountains in the world. Just can't wait to travel, want to go do. And I noticed it's a thing throughout pretty much the entire, if you're a science communicator, or especially if you're in the space industry, it seems to be so many people are into that. Like, we all want to go out and explore other planets, and we got this one, so we're just like, let's do what we can here before we go climb Olympus Mons for the first time and put, the restaurant at the end of the universe out there. So I've always found that really interesting. So I love the fact that you do. I love the fact that you do treasure hunting stuff. My mom raised me as a Jimmy Buffett fan, and I wanted to be a pirate. And one of my goals in life is eventually to buy a boat and, like Benjamin Button, sail away at one day with the love of my life for like a couple years before I eventually turn 28 years old again. And, all that fun stuff. I'm not really going to do that. That's just the movie. So there's actually something I kind of want to talk about with this group in particular. Everyone on here has had a really amazing year when a lot of people have not. Like, it's, we were talking about this a little bit before, Jake, about the successes that you've had. Everybody on here has been busy. Loretta, you've been at it for like a decade now. Like, every time I talk to you, there's some, we're probably going to have our honeymoon in space finally next year. That's cool, Loretta. I just want the money to be able to fly to space. Can you take just here, take my fingernail. It's just like, they can say a piece of me went. But I mean, I think it's a really impressive group. So I kind of want to talk about that a little bit. What is it about possibly like the space industry, the science communicators, that so many people within this have been able to be successful in a year? Where is it because, astronomy is a really great social distancing activity? So many people hopped on it. Loretta in particular, you guys quit and switched fast. Like, it is one of the most, you have to be here in person events out there. And within like 3 weeks, you made it entirely online and made it a huge deal. And I know that you worked with a lot of awesome people like Subtractive and Tomorrow Show and all those to make that happen. We had Jared Head on last week, and a couple weeks ago, Jamie was in the comments all night with us, hanging out and stuff. And so I know that was a lot to put together very quickly. So I'll start with you, and then I'll go around. But it literally, it goes to every single person on this panel tonight.
Yeah, it was tough to make that call in March. We put so much into the live event. It was going to be in April, and then California shut down mid-March, March 12th. We shut down, and we had a month to pivot, and we had to make the call, like, okay, this isn't happening live. And we just got on the horn, got Chris Hadfield lined up, got Scott Kelly lined up, Bob Weir, a bunch of stuff. Nicole Stott on, we had Sayun Yi, all talking about their flights, and it was just magical. And it was a neat time in the world, because it's sort of like everything suddenly everyone's calendar was free. They're like, what do you do on April 10th? You busy? And there was a lot of energy, and people wanted to help out. People wanted to be a part of it. And so that really contributed to just creating an incredible evening. 5 hours of content, just, Cyan Proctor and Tanya of Mars and everybody just coming together, and, Gene Roddenberry, Rod Roddenberry, and, coming in and everyone is pitching in, Kelvin Manning from Kennedy Space Center even did like a rap. He was a NASA civil servant, and he came on and he did a rap for us. He was amazing.
Came out of nowhere. That was so awesome. I love that part.
So yeah, it was really a tribute to, to the Yuri's Night family, that, all volunteers, we put this together. And of course to Jamie and Kyle at Subtractive and Tomorrow Show, who did all the magic behind the scenes that I don't even understand, but appreciate all their IT, wuju that they do. And it was just, it was the right thing for the time. Robert Picardo kicked us off with a video that the Planetary Society put together, and it just set the tone beautifully, and Gray Bright was our host, and he was so funny. And it's just neat to see like them, Ricardo hit the message of like, we have to do what's right. We have to come together as a planet. And that's exactly the message of space, and exactly the message of Yuri's Night, is that when we come together as a planet, we do our best work. And in times of crisis, that's an opportunity and pull together. And we did. And I think the world is doing that now. That's what I'm still cheering for. Like, go world, we can do this. We can team up and make this work. So next step, vaccines.
Yeah, and that's obviously an awesome thing, and this actually allows me to touch on this, because somebody did ask, and you kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, that you already have plans to do another virtual one in April and kind of follow up on what you did last year. Is there any teasing that you want to do about it, or you want to wait a little bit for that? I know it's some months away.
Well, I will say this. So, I first met Richard Branson in 2005 when we bought the tickets. I met him at Oshkosh at the air show. Which was amazing, and I was so nervous, and I was so young, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's a billionaire, it's so exciting. And since that time, I've got to meet him a dozen times. He's lovely, he's an extraordinary human being. And I've been very grateful to get to hang out with him, to get to stay with him in his island, and have him over to, to visit us in Mojave and see the spaceship. And in all these years that I've known it, I've known Richard Branson for 15 years now, and I've never emailed him. I've never asked him for anything. And just this last week, I was like, so Richard, it's the 60th anniversary of human space flight. It's the 20th anniversary of Yuri's Night. We're going to be doing a virtual event. You don't even have to fly in or anything. Like, we just want you to zoom in and be a part of the show. And he was so gracious, and he's like, I've penciled it in. I'll check in a month out to make sure it still works, and because his schedule's crazy. He's like, but I would love to do it. I'd love to be there. I'd love to support you as much as I can. So I got an email from Richard Branson, so I was super excited. So that's so I'm hoping that that'll pan out, and everyone else will get to share, how magical and amazing he is to work with. And like I said, OK Go is looking to do something with us, and hopefully we're trying to make that crowdsourced as well. So getting the, like they like to do, getting people involved. They have the OK Go sandbox where they work with students and kids. And so we want to, use that angle. Maybe even fly something into space. So there's all kinds of opportunities, all kinds of excitement coming up for this year's event. And I'm really looking forward to it. And we're having a more youth component as well. And, again, if you want to participate, come play. Yuri's Night is a open tent. Everyone's welcome.
Is there a particular theme? Because I know last year it was women in STEM, I believe, or it was going to be women in STEM.
That's
so
true.
I know that there's normally a theme. So is there a particular theme for this year? The anniversary. I know it's like all the anniversaries. But...
Yeah, I've been sort of just focused on that. The anniversaries is the main thing. That the 60, 40, 20. Also, the other thing that's really cool is So. How do I tell my stories without sounding like obnoxious? But okay, so in 2003, I got to dive to the bottom of the ocean with James Cameron, a Hollywood director, Titanic, Avatar, for his IMAX movie Aliens of the Deep. So if you ever miss me, you can go on Netflix and watch Aliens of the Deep. And on the expedition, we did a month at sea in the middle of the Atlantic and a month in the Pacific. And during our month in the Atlantic, we had a NASA astronaut on board with us. Megan MacArthur, and she's actually a PhD oceanographer. So it was really fun to get to hang out with Megan on the boat, an NASA astronaut oceanographer on this boat with James Cameron for a month. So it was really super fun to hang out with her. And so last year we had Megan also involved in the webcast for Yuri's Night. And, lo and behold, now she's selected to be crew for the next Dragon flight and launching in the spring, and will be on the International Space Station for Yuri's Night. And so I was like, all right, Megan, come on, what could you do here? What can we do? We got to have you back, as part of Yuri's Night again. So, I mean, working with ISS is, there's a lot more layers, to challenges to working with all that. But, we're super excited to at least have her have a friend of Yuri's Night in space for the big event, for the big conjunction anniversary this year. Last time we had Ron Guerin in space for the 50th, and he took up the Yuri's Night shirts and the Yuri's Night pins. We have some great shots of the crew in all Yuri's Night shirts on the 50th anniversary human space flight, which was mind-blowingly amazing. And the pin floating in the window of the ISS, just, I can't ask for more than that. It's amazing. And so we're super excited with all the possibilities that could be coming up 2021.
Awesome! Can't wait for it. I know it's going to be incredible. And you can't beat Ron. I mean, he really is the best. And sadly, I missed the other day. I was glad to partner with Space for Humanity for the awesome platform that you guys had the other day. It was a work day though, so I couldn't steal away to actually watch it. But I know that it was wonderful, as it always is. But again, this is something that all of you have been up to. Jake, you've had obviously a great year. Every time that you're on a stream, your background gets cooler and cooler. Like the walls painted a different color. There's more stuff up, and you know what I mean. Like and it's you're incredible at what you do. Like, I don't even have one of those. You gotta send me one. I don't even know what that is, honestly, and I still want one.
My wife crossed.
That's so awesome.
The We Martians logo.
I love that.
Cool. Look at that.
I mean, seriously. You've had an incredible year. You're always fun and engaging to listen to, no matter what it is you're doing. Whether or not you're in a deep conversation where you're really diving into it. Or on the opposite side of it, whenever you're just having fun. It was nice to hear early. So one of the organizations I work with, Explore Mars, I know that you and Chris got hooked up because he had his book Alcohol in Space, but you also talked about the Humans to Mars Summit. So there you kind of jump around a lot, and I think that having those varying skills, you've got the camera set up, you've got everything that that you need to look professional and also kill it, but you've also got the interest to it too. So I know it's been a big year for you. So what was a little bit of that success, do you feel? Was it just being prepared when this happens? Because this was the stuff I wanted to do anyway. I wanted the studio and all those things. So when everything went to hell, I'm like, I wanted to do this anyway, and you're telling me you'll pay me to learn how to do all this stuff? Gotcha, boss. No problem.
It ended up being kind of what we just. So it ended up being sort of a mix of fortuitous preparation, if I can call it that. So about a year ago was when I made the decision to do this a lot more seriously, and so I left a 12-year career in business and operations and stuff, and I started to reinvent my life. And the plan was to transform my career into something I could do remotely. And that was in December of 2019 that I made that plunge. And so it was a very good timing because now everything I do is remote. So there was that sort of preparation. And then, of course, just the fact that, COVID sort of accelerated the whole world to catch up to what my idea was, did not hurt in any way. So in a weird way, despite all the awful stuff that's happened this year, it has done a lot to it turned the world on its side and kind of shook out some of the interesting things, I think. And I'm trying to do my best to capitalize on that. But so just doing this remote stuff has enabled a lot of interesting ideas, so you can try things that you maybe wouldn't have thought to try before. We did a virtual lunar and planetary science conference this year. So I usually go down to Houston every March and we do this lunar and planetary science conference. It's the biggest planetary science conference of the year.
I've been wanting to go to that forever. I want to pick your brain on that. I want to be at the next one.
It's lovely. It's so good. And it was canceled because it was normally March 20th or whatever. So it was canceled 3 weeks beforehand. They made the call right before the lockdown.
That's why it's been difficult for me to go because of Space Symposium. We're always so closer. You can't go anywhere the few weeks heading up to it. I'm like, but this is the thing I want to do. And they're like, Sorry, Ron.
Yeah. So, I was so bummed about it because I wasn't even actually going to attend this year, but I was just so sad for all the scientists because it's not only just like a fun week, it's a work week for the science community, and they need that opportunity to network and to show their work, to find out who's also doing the things they're doing, so they can connect the dots on all the different science going on. So my idea was to just have this sort of virtual poster session. So if you've been to a science conference, there's often these things called poster sessions. Imagine just a giant conference room with like all the kind of fake partition walls in rows, and every scientist gets a poster, they print it off with all their charts, and they stand in front of it for 2 hours, and people walk through and go, what are you working on? And then they get 5 minutes to sort of explain their science. And it's such a fun night. There's 2 nights at LPSC that usually do that. And so I said, well, I have a podcast, I can kind of do that. So we brought in 12 different scientists that were, interested in participating in that. And we got to just have a little 5-minute kind of audio session. And then I had a little bit of fun with it where I kind of like wove audience sounds over top of it, so it felt like you were there. There was some music and stuff, and I just tried to have make it interesting. And that was a really fun thing that would not have happened if this year had been a normal year per se. But yeah, and I got to go to Explore Mars, like you said. I normally don't get to go to that one because May was just an awful time for me. And then they ended up moving it to September, and it's remote, so I didn't have to go to DC, which is a really it's a bizarrely tough journey from where I live in Vancouver. I don't know what it is about DC, but there are no direct flights. Yeah, I went for IAC in 2019, and it was the longest, most arduous flight experience I've had. It was like a red eye and like 2 connections, and it was brutal. So DC is tough for me, but I got to do it remotely, so I got to do all sorts of cool stuff and talk with people from the ISS and things like that. So there's been some really fun opportunities, and it's been a year of growth, and I'm just very excited to get into 2021. I've officially left my full-time job now, so starting at the end of this month, I am like a full-time freelancer. I get to do this every minute of every day, and I just can't wait to try all sorts of wacky stuff next year too.
Amazing. A wonderful way to kind of articulate, hey, listen, this is the opportunity that we have, and this is what I'm going to do with it. And so, Maynard, I want to go to you next, and Derek, and I'm going to wrap up with this question with you, Amy, because it's going to tie into the Great Conjunction. Perfect way to segue into the science and spacey stuff. But Maynard, you were already on a roll. You were killing it with your stuff. I found you for hiphopscienceshow.com, guys. But just loved your stuff. I can't remember how I found you, but I was just cracking up. And we've talked about this a bunch. To be somebody that my life revolved around music all day, every day, for so long, and then to jump into this, I love the way that you tie those things in, because you get people singing a song maybe they haven't heard in 10 or 15 years, but you're talking about frog sex. But it's also like the science behind it of how, and we all some years ago were super fascinated, 25 years ago, when we found out things about frogs we didn't know when Jurassic Park came out. Like, oh, they're all female, they can't do this. Oh, well, no, there are some animals in the wild that can change their sex and blah, 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 blah. And you have fun with things like that. And that's what, is super cool. And then when all this happened, you're like, all right, backyard science. And so you just started going out and going on hikes or playing around in your backyard and making these videos, which just doubled and tripled and stuff. And I love and we've talked about this before, I love the newspaper platform that you do, where it's just kind of like the breakdown, like here's front page news, here's the cool things that are going on, which kind of leads people into the stuff that you're up to. All of it is unique, and that's hard to say. There's not, I'm not unique. I talk to a bunch of people and talk about the cool shit y'all do. Like, it's not really, nothing's original from here necessarily. It's what I'm working on, but the really fun thing is talking to the people like you all that are innovating and coming up with this really cool stuff. And you just nailed it this year with that. So what was kind of the impetus for, did you say this is the only thing I've got, or was it something you wanted to do anyway, and now you had the time at home to do it? Whenever you started doing like the backyard stuff and the nature stuff, like what was the what started this this journey that you've been on this year?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's been a crazy journey this year for sure, and yeah, we definitely connected. I believe it was towards the end of last year, and I know for me personally, when I started this platform, my kind of long-standing goal is always to develop this into a show. I've always growing up being a fan of Bill Nye and Neil deGrasse Tyson. And I've always wanted to hip hop science show to literally be a show on television, whether you want to call me the Black Bill Nye or whatever. My goal has always been to be able to present this show to the masses.
You were the first you. You were not the Black Bill Nye. You were the first you.
And that was always a goal, right? So I wanted to be able to bring this to the masses, be able to show representation in a field that people like me typically aren't shown in. And that's really kind of been the crux of everything that I've done with this platform. And so I think that's why this year was really unique, because I know at the beginning of the year, I really wanted to try to do more presentations, get in front of more schools, really do a little more development work with the show. And so I had a lot of outreach opportunities. There are a lot of STEM organizations that I was starting to partner with. And I just gotten off the doing CES, the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas in January. And I was brought on board by this really cool VR tech company to be able to highlight some of their VR shoes. They have these VR shoes that they made that enable you to walk and run in virtual reality. And I was able to connect with a couple other cool tech companies. One that was doing these kind of hologram effects where you can literally use your hands in hologram space to be able to control objects. And I came on board doing some vlogs and stuff, kind of highlighting some of the work that they were doing and putting my hip hop science twist to some of the work that they had going on. And so I had this whole kind of trajectory planned out. I was like, okay, I'm going to do more events. I'm going to continue to get my face out there, continue to spotlight unique things happening in science, literally all across the world. And then everything in March shut down. And my whole purpose, kind of the whole platform, especially with my YouTube videos that I was doing, was me going out and exploring science and being at events and connecting with people in different science fields. And so it's all based on being out there in socializing and being with people. So when everything shut down, it was pretty crazy at first, because I really didn't know if this was going to be possible, right? If the trajectory of what I was trying to plan out doing was even going to be open for me to continue. And so I had to kind of revamp and retool. And I think, even your original question where you brought back to why is people's interest in space kind of sparked a lot this year. And I think it came a lot from that feeling of we have to kind of sit back, digest things a little bit more, think through things a little bit more, and analyze. And I think having that time to really be able to sit back and reflect gave me a better understanding of my purpose with my platform, and gave me a better understanding of my vision and the goals and different things that I wanted to accomplish. And so I was able to hit the ground running. I was already doing a lot of digital content, whether it was on my YouTube channel or some of the other creative content that I was making, doing interviews with scientists, different things like that. So I was like, let me just take advantage of this virtual space. Everything's going to be now virtual, and we're going to be on Zoom chats or Google or Microsoft's, chats, whatever it'd be. To just really take advantage of that space. And since I was already doing digital content, it just fit with that. And I think that's really been the coolest part, even now with, new things happening, with like the conjunction happening and different things like that, having this moment where we're able to sit back and we're not constantly in motion, constantly moving, constantly traveling, constantly going to other events or being at different places. Having this kind of time to really be able to distance ourselves has kind of given us ability to be able to reflect and analyze and think about things, especially when it comes to space and space technology and cool things happening in space, to really be able to focus on it and think about, what does this mean for society? What does this mean for people? What does this mean for our future? What does this mean for humanity's future? All these different things, right? We have this ability to now think a little bit more complex than we normally did when we're always constantly just on the go and moving. And so I think that's really what's helped me during this time, is for me to personally be able to do that. And then for people that are absorbing that content to also have the chance to be able to digest that as well too. And I know there was a really difficult time, especially back in May, June, with everything happening with protests and racial injustice and everything like that. I really wanted to make sure I utilized my voice to be able to highlight a lot of different things that I had faced in my own career, in my trajectory as an engineer. A lot of different things that I faced with racial injustice and different things like that with my own journey, just to be able to highlight a lot of things going on. And I think that also assisted when people were able to sit back and be able to get a deeper understanding and see a lot of the different complex things that our community was going through that definitely brought a little more attention to the platform, and it made my purpose even stronger, because I already wanted to encourage more minority and youth involvement and really highlight representation or lack of representation in STEM fields with my platform. And I think having that time to really focus and dive in really gave me the ability to do that. And so I think that's been the coolest part of this year. And, you know, I'm always a deep thinker. I'm always thinking like, how can we do things differently? What ifs? I'm always kind of thinking outside the box. And I think having that time to be able to absorb and really be able to look at things with different perspectives, and space already does that for us. You know, the vision of kind of seeing where our futures go and space travel and the future for humanity, that complex thinking is already intrinsically involved within space concepts. And I think having that time during the year where everything slowed down really gave us the ability to do that a lot more. And I think that was really the coolest thing that came out of this year with my platform and the different things that I'm doing.
And you know, before I jump over to Derek to talk about all the awesome stuff that he's done and how he's, you know, really taking advantage of these opportunities, is you just wrapped up with STEM Success Summit, which was, I'm sad to say again, it was one of those things that was happening during the day while I was working, so I'm still going to catch up on it. But actually, I was trying to get Justin on the show too as well, like a couple weeks back, but he's just been busy, so can't wait to have him on a future show. And Nee's been on a couple times to promote it and talk about it, and just always an awesome guest. But it is it's a spectacular platform. I always like to talk about, you know, especially what he. Well, one, let's back up. The STEM media, the interviews alone, and I've talked to Nehemiah about this before, has introduced me to the most new science communicators in the most diverse backgrounds of anybody. Like, that's really, he's exceptional at that with what he does. But I want to give you a few minutes to kind of talk about this platform. And I know that you all, you know, it's a tremendous amount of work. It's a free platform, though folks can donate to it. And I know I know what it takes to put a summit together, because I did 2 of them this year. Like, I'm doing an ongoing one, and I did H2M. And let me tell you, I still have nervous, like, anxiety dreams about H2M. Wake up in the middle of the night and be like, oh my God, Elon Musk is going to be in Germany. What's going on? You know, so I still have those moments. But I know that you all had a blast with it, and I love the pictures and all the content that came out from it. So I just want to give you a few minutes to I want to hear what the experience was like. I haven't got to hear the after of it for anybody, from you or Nehemiah or anybody else. So I definitely want to hear that a little bit, and take as much time as you want, because I'm going to go grab a drink real quick. I'm gonna run so I can hear the answer.
It is Saturday night. You gotta tell us what you're sipping though by the time you come back.
Absolutely, very definitely.
I'm on a whiskey tip right now, so that's my Saturday night drink. But yeah, we had a STEM Success Summit, which we did this year. It was our 2nd annual STEM Success Summit, and it was kind of curated by 9 of us science communicators. We did the first one last year, and at the time, I wasn't part of the organizing committee. It was a group of other science communicators that I'd been following on social media put on the very first STEM Success Summit. And that was post-COVID. That was post-social distancing, everything. They did a virtual event at that time because it was the easiest way for them to be able to get the community together. And they hosted it as a virtual event. We had a decent turnout, but it really highlighted representation within STEM fields. It really highlighted diverse voices within STEM fields. And it was a way for us to be able to connect and collaborate and be able to show all the cool things, all the cool fields in STEM, and all the people that are within those fields doing amazing things, and then to be able to provide opportunities to network with people that look like us in the field as well. And so after that event, I participated in that one, and I built a stronger relationship with a lot of the science communicators and other people that were involved in that. And over the course of the year, they brought me on board to be part of the organizing committee for the 2nd STEM Success Summit, which happened this past November. And we spent like 6 months putting it together. And I know it was nothing like putting on Yuri's Night crazy event, but it was my personal first time putting on a full virtual event with all the different dynamics and different elements involved in it. And we used the Hopin platform to host the event. And it was beyond amazing. We had over 2,000 attendees. We had crazy engagement. It was a 3-day summit, and it was hosted by us. We all got together, we quarantined for a couple weeks, and then we all kind of came together in one central location in North Carolina to host the event. And it was great. We were able to provide scholarships, opportunities for employment. We had GM, Best Buy on board as sponsors. And we had this great organization, Blue Salve, that helped us with everything on PR and be able to do a lot of public relations and marketing and giving us advice on how to really build out the platform. And it was an incredible event. We're so blessed to be able to have such great involvement. Tatiana Ali came on board to support. I did an exclusive interview with her talking about her experience in education as a Harvard graduate and her experience as not only a minority kind of navigating higher education, but then also her voice in politics and how all that relates to STEM engagement and STEM education and different things like that. And we had a lot of guest speakers, a lot of keynote speakers that came on board. We had networking sessions. It was literally 5 to 6 hours every day for the 3 days that we had that event. And it was so amazing. We got so much great feedback from people that said not only were they able to get jobs, but people were able to network. People were able to see people like themselves that were in unique STEM fields, everything from oceanography to biology to wildlife to space science. We had representatives in NASA, all sorts of different fields covered on the event. And it was so great just to be a part of the organizing committee. And we're looking forward to doing it again this coming year in November. Leading up to it, we're going to have a lot of different kind of small engagement events to kind of build up to it. But it was definitely a unique experience, and it was great just to be able to see that representation and see so many people excited about STEM. And you know how I am. We were hyped the whole time. We had music, DJs. I mean, it was a great event. So, you know, I
had DJs, but I wasn't invited. That's cool, man. I thought we were friends, man. I'm like, you know,
you're busy. You couldn't even tune in. You were busy during the day.
Well, I mean, but had I been told, it would have been like, Ron, you should come here and we're gonna do the thing. Then I'd be like, I guess I gotta go do the thing. Work. I'll be back. I gotta go DJ for the team, the organizing team. It's very important. So I mean, seriously, man,
we're going to continue expanding next year, so you will very much be a part of it.
Dude, I would love to, and I love everything that you all do. Seriously, I'm excited to see how it grows next year. And you know, again, so what we're kind of talking about here, in case you're just tuning in, is just how so many science communicators, especially in like the SciComm space arenas, were able to kind of take what was happening and really capitalize that. And you know, Derek, you've touched on it in a bunch of different places. One of them you were talking about a little bit earlier is you jump around a lot, and you and Amy work together on, you know, virtual star parties were a big thing this year. I mean, period. Astronomy was a huge thing this year. We just got. It was thing after thing after thing that really space period got to be the highlight of things. You know, and while Maynard was just discussing, you know, the racial injustice where people were really paying attention to stuff, and for like 15 minutes, everybody got to take just a quick breath as the first American astronauts launched from American soil to the International Space Station again. It was like, it didn't take anything away, and I know that quite a few of my friends that I've talked to, like, that talked about how it was a battle in their mind. It's just like, this doesn't stop everything that I'm going to have to, that I'm dealing with, like that I'm getting ready, that I'm leaving to go to a protest as soon as this is over. However, it is one of those things that has been able to connect us. Virtual Star Parties has been a big one. It's been also a really interesting year. I've never seen anybody really so focused on taking these awesome shots of the International Space Station. We've got a lot of great gifts this year, a lot of great, you know, transits this year. It's been a really cool thing to kind of focus on. There's the people off the planet that don't have to deal with this shit. Oh, there they go. How joyous it must be. But you had, you know, some amazing shots. I mean, there's just a mixture of things too. So one, how did you like kind of take each one of those and make them all, you know, successful? And is it something that you would have focused on at all had that not been what this year was? How did your focus shift, and how did you keep all that straight and make all of them more successful?
Yeah, so let's go back to the beginning of COVID. So me and my wife were actually getting back from California on a trip, and we were actually supposed to do the play Silent Sky in the planetarium with our theater department, and we were starting to hear about the, you know, COVID-19 lockdowns and quarantines and all that stuff, and we were wondering, are we going to do this? Is this still going to happen? And basically the college sent out a mass email saying that things are closed, we're going to shut down everything, you're not allowed to come to work, all that jazz. And I kind of freaked out a little bit. I was like, oh my gosh, you know, pretty much everything I do is outward facing. We have kids coming to field trips to the planetarium. We have schools from all over the area that come visit us. We're the premier space destination in Central Florida in terms of educating these future generations of students to get them excited about astronomy. We're closing down. We're not going to be able to do that. We're not going to do public shows. We're not allowed to go out and set up telescopes. We have this we do this series called Telescope Thursdays, where every month we set up a kind of guerrilla style. We get to set up guerrilla marketing style, I should say, telescopes in all just different areas around Central Florida, where we just show you the night sky. And I'm thinking we also partnered up with all these different organizations around Central Florida and beyond, where we set up telescopes to do night sky. All this stuff was just toppling down because we are just out there. We're involved around people. And what in the world are we going to do? And I spent a lot of time. At first I was very anxious, very worried, but I realized myself, I'm like, the planetarium is just a tool for me. My passion is being out there communicating science and getting people excited about science. And it doesn't matter if I'm running a planetarium or if I'm on, this. And I started thinking about, can we do these things virtually? Well, I have the planetarium technology on my laptop. We could start doing virtual planetarium programs. So I, started using Zoom and Facebook Live. We chose Facebook Live because that was where we had one of our biggest followings, and we thought that would be the best way to kind of start. And we started doing virtual planetarium shows. And then me and my buddy, and Amy knows him well too, my buddy Frank Kane, who's with the Central Florida Astronomical Society, we started talking. We were originally going to think about doing this idea of doing these live stacking view of the night sky virtual programs where I show you where it is in the sky, and then Frank, using his telescope system, can peer at the object and look at distant galaxies and nebulae and all this stuff. And we started doing these virtual star parties just on the whim. And so when we did our first one, and we looked at the Orion Nebula and the classical objects in the night sky, and had a blast. And we had thousands of people logging on from all over the world. We had people from the Azores. We had people from Australia, from Korea, Germany, from everywhere joining in because they were. Just
a quick question: Where were you doing this at?
Yeah.
Like, what was the platform?
Facebook
so you
Live.
Do Facebook Live. Okay, well, I just wanted to check because I know that like we've got like the scrolls going right now for where you're doing it, but like what was the platform? What was the page? So that way people can catch them if they haven't seen them yet.
Yeah. So we're going to be starting more coming up next year. But basically, we're using Facebook Live now. We're also, since I have access to Zoom webinars, we're also starting that as well. So eventually, people can register for these star parties, and then we can also stream them to YouTube and Facebook at the same time. So we'll be able to kind of share. But I'm actually kind of really excited about this way that you have it set up, Ron. I think I might have to, borrow some of your skill set.
Well, I'll say two things. One, I literally have 2 consultations with people a week to help them with stuff like this. I have learned every platform this year. I was paid to learn every platform this year, and do we need to figure out what's best for Space Symposium 365. What do we do for H2M? We actually utilize this whenever the very expensive platform that we bought to do our summit failed. We use this $50 a month program. If they really want somebody to do, I'll do a whole video thing and tell y'all how much you saved my ass this year. I got to be the man because of this platform. But not just that, I would be glad to help absolutely with what you're doing. But two is that depending on what you're doing, that's pretty much the goal of. So the main place that we stream this is OPT Telescope's Twitch channel, Clear Skies Network, which is very much what you're doing. If it's on a night where we don't have somebody already streaming, and we have somebody pretty much every night, I know that Dustin would be thrilled to amplify what it is that you all are doing. I know that you're already getting thousands and thousands of viewers, which is great. But if there's not anybody on here, that's what this whole channel is about. If you have a voice, if you want to do something, so we'll definitely continue that conversation. Didn't want to interrupt, but I also didn't want to forget because ADD.
I deep down inside was just how cool was it? Now we're starting to share all this amazing stuff with people from around the world. And I work with a friend of mine in Australia, and we did a Skies Down Under episode where we looked at the objects in the night sky in the Southern Hemisphere. And it was a lot of fun. And then eventually Amy she posted in one of the planetarium Facebook groups, and I jumped on it because I'm like, we've been doing all these virtual star parties, and now we have this great relationship with the Smithsonian and the Fred Whipple Observatory, and we're on that. So I would say one of my favorite things about the pandemic is the ability to collaborate with so many amazing people that I would never probably get a chance to do if we were still in person. The fact that, as Maynard was saying earlier, we were all over the place, traveling here, traveling there, and all this, and now now we have all this time to kind of get people in, and they're willing to do it, and I think it's just absolutely amazing that we were able to. We did a Women in STEAM. We did a night where I got Cyan Proctor on there, and my other friends that normally wouldn't be available that were there, and
who's this Cyan Proctor everybody talks about? I've never heard of him.
Oh,
that's a joke. I'm kidding. That is a very big joke. I'm totally kidding. That she always used to be like, Ron, whatever.
She's awesome, and so I think that was the thing I loved about it. And we were collaborating with other planetariums around the world, trying to work with them and bringing them on to do planetarium programs. And the other thing is, we started, me and my buddy Justin, who worked with me at the planetarium for 2 years, and unfortunately he's moved on, and so I'm kind of the only person running the planetarium at the moment. But it was just amazing to be able to take everybody's passions and give them a place to really share this amazing experience. And I think for me, it was if we weren't in a pandemic, I would be doing field trips and doing in-person planetarium programs and stuff like this. It really allowed me to open up an ability to share my passions with people that I would probably not be able to reach. But it also made me think, like, well, when we go back to more normal, doing more of these virtual star parties, doing these things will be an integral part of what we're going to do going forward. And I think it kind of allowed me to have that reset button, that kind of like, okay, stop, think about kind of reevaluating how you do things and evolve. And I think we needed that. I think as horrible as the pandemic is, I think sometimes it's important for us to have a forced stop, to get us to reevaluate what we're doing. Is it sustainable? And so I think it allowed us to kind of just breathe a little bit and kind of move forward. And hopefully, I try to look at the silver lining of everything. And I think that was one of the biggest advantages. But the collaboration with people, getting the virtual star parties and just having a ball. And, the astrophotography stuff, I always was doing no matter what, but having that work from home thing kind of helped, where I could just go off and do some stuff that I normally probably wouldn't have been able to do. So I've been able to kind of craft more astrophotos. But one of the things that you mentioned earlier on about is the hobby of astronomy did explode. I've had people constantly ask me questions about, I want to buy a telescope and things like that. The only issue is, and you being affiliated with OPT, is most things are sold out these days. I'm still
constantly. Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's like Dustin talks about these. He's like, we have these massive warehouses here, and it's like it comes in and it goes out the door. He's like, one of the only reasons I have the telescope that's right behind me that they just made. Hold on a second here, is because he promised it to me for a birthday present 4 months beforehand and said I would get one of the first ones off the line. The things were sold out way before they put them out, and they were still waiting to make sure all the tests and stuff. But it's still the stuff now. Like there might be the ad on Facebook for Orion saying that you can get whatever you need for the Great Conjunction, but no, it's not there. Like, I know the mount that I want. I had 3 separate people say, you should get this mount, or this mount, and everybody said they're all interchangeable. Guess what? None of them will be in until a minimum of January 3rd next year. And I've been looking at that for weeks, and it's just which is pretty cool.
I being working at a college, for those that work for academia and the public sector, getting money is only available for a certain period of time, and it takes months to get approved, and everybody kind of hit the approval button.
Yes, sir.
So I was putting together a package so I can work with Frank. So basically, I built the same type of system that Frank has now. So now we have 2 telescopes, so we can do virtual star parties and more epic. Long story short, I was waiting for the camera, which is a full frame, cooled CCD camera. It's, really, really awesome system. One left was in stock at OPT, and that's our the company that we work with purchasing. And I was like, please don't get rid of this thing. I actually emailed the guy I've been working with OPT. I said, please just put it away. I promise you it's going to take a little while for me to get the processing, the purchasing done and all that stuff. And it was like biting nails, but eventually I finally got it and everything's good. But it still was like, please, hopefully put that camera away. Please, I need this camera because it put months and months and months of approvals and this and that just to get this camera. And while in the normal world, it wouldn't be, a big issue. They would have that camera in stock. So that was a big issue. But I got to say, the other thing too for me is being able to work on projects I normally wouldn't be able to do. We're starting a YouTube series and YouTube videos, and that's something I've always dreamed of wanting to do, and now I'm able to do it. And we're gonna start doing. There's a series that we're gonna be working on. It's gonna be, I actually do puppeteering, and so I have a character called Zeke. He's an alien from the planet Orgnak that I can show you if you want to see.
Yeah.
But,
of course,
or
absolutely.
Maybe he'll jump in later and answer some questions. But anyways, where it's going to be involving animals, exploring animals, but then looking at the animals of the night sky. Because I love that whole thing of connecting our world with the universe, and Earth. I still think Earth's the best planet in the universe because whatever. But
Earth's great. It's the humans that I'm concerned about.
Yeah. Exactly. We can get into that later on.
But tardigrades, though.
Yeah, the tardigrades are
the Mars
species on the planet Earth. But it just allows me to do projects that I wouldn't have thought of. But again, meeting new people, I think that's the biggest and best thing about it. So while the pandemic has been terrible, and I'm also a hypochondriac, so I am one of those people that are afraid to be near people. I wear an N95 type mask everywhere. I wash my hands every 5 seconds. So that's been a fun thing too. But I haven't actually done a planetarium show since February. So it'll be interesting once we reopen again. What that's going to be like. Will it affect my brain? Will I be scared to be around people? I don't know, but it's really transformed things. But at the same time, it's allowed me as a person to really meet some amazing people and collaborate and build projects that I never really would have thought of.
Dude, I love. Okay, so before we move on, I want to talk about the super. Well, what I want to have you do is you're gonna have to send me one. You're gonna have to best of the puppet here in a minute. But the other one, well, okay, you can do it right now. I'll wait for you to get back because there was a second part to my question that I was going to say. I love it though. I'm stoked, really am. What is it? Is it Zeke?
I did not expect there to be a puppet tonight.
Oh, there it is. What's going on?
Plan.
What's up, buddy?
What? That's huge.
That's a real puppet
right there.
Oh, he's got a hand.
What you doing?
Hey.
Wait.
Whoa. Is this the space fan?
Is that a Cartman voice I hear? Hey, no, seriously, guy, what's going on? This guy's a little weird.
My voice?
No, listen, I'll make you fun of your voice all you want to. What do you want to do? I'll make you eat your parents.
Hey, stop that. That's not right.
That's an old school Cartman joke, but no, seriously, very, very impressive. So, who knew? So, does anybody have a question for the puppet? The puppet actually looks a little mad at the world right now. It's got a look on its face. Any questions? Mac, I see that you say it. Oh, well, I mean, so Loretta, you said you wanted to see the puppet. Do you have a question?
Oh my goodness.
Are you so fascinated at?
He said it's a man of so many talents. I'm so impressed. Who's your audience for the puppet, and what does he normally talk about? What is he? Science communicator or comedian? What's he doing?
Zeke, what do you
Well-
do? What's your job?
What's Zeke's job?
I'm going to teach children about all things in the universe, like animals here on planet Earth and what's up in the sky.
That's awesome.
I'm a little funny, but I like to be funny and serious at the same time. That makes any sense.
Well played, sir. Well played. Well done. Everybody give up a big round of applause to our man, the myth, the legend, Zeke. Zeke, we're going to see you more. I feel like you're going to have a TV show on Netflix soon, so we're
I'm happy
excited.
to be here. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Zeke.
Well played, sir. Well played. That was great.
was
We'll wait
awesome.
for him to get back. But one thing I want to talk about with him before we go on to Amy and then start talking about all the cool stuff over the last few weeks, because this will kind of tie in together. And he's back. That was awesome. Well done, sir. Well done. Is the fact that so the shots of one, astrophotography has been huge. We have the one side of astronomy has been big, but there's been so many people that really have been live streaming and teaching folks about astrophotography. But one of the big ones has been the ISS. Like these transits and just people catching it. Period. And so that we actually had a video go viral that's been huge for us. Will Young, Deep Sky Dude, caught the Dragon capsule chasing the ISS across the sky. It's like 44 seconds long, and we're like 2 million views and like 8 million impressions. It's crazy. To the point that we have like 14,000 new followers on Stardom's Facebook page. It's incredible because so many people have been capturing things just like that. And you have some awesome, I believe that yours was in like a major paper too, right? Like Washington Post or something like that. If I'm wrong on that one, I apologize. But I remember that you like some people have really have been paying attention to like your work and what you've been up to. So one, if you have them readily available and you would like to share them on screen, you can. And if you don't, then you can share them later. But what do you think it was about the ISS this year that everybody and their mothers just like, I've got to get that shot too. It's a kind of a crazy thing, but it's been huge for astrophotographers. They're everywhere. Well, I caught it. Now can I get a video of it? The video is pretty blurry. Can I get like a really great video of it? It's been a year for the ISS for sure.
What's funny is that half of them actually contacted me to be like, how did you take that shot? Can I take that shot too? Or this has been years because I've been doing ISS transits for years. But I think a lot of it is because of the fact that of Crew 1 and of also DM2. I think that's what really attracted people to it, is because once humans go into space, it explodes. Here in Florida, I'm only about 45 minutes from Kennedy Space Center, from Canaveral Air Station or Canaveral Space Force Station or whatever they call it now. Ever since when DM2, like we have Falcon 9s going off almost every day now. It's like almost like watching airplanes go off now because of Starlink and all the other things that they're launching.
27 total this year.
Exactly.
Today was 27th.
Yeah, it's like, okay, another Falcon 9. I mean, don't get me wrong. Seeing rocket launches every time is amazing, but you're like, okay, Falcon 9 going up. But as soon as you put people in that capsule on top of the Falcon 9, then everybody just goes crazy about it. And I was out there in my kayak in Indian River watching the DM2 launch, and you look at the bridges further down. There's 500,000 people, and first off, you're thinking this is a pandemic. Why are you out here? And I'm trying to be social distance in my little kayak in the middle of the water, trying to avoid people. But it doesn't matter if people are excited about it. And I think as soon as they knew that a capsule was up there in space and there were people up there in space, there's a context of this fact that we're getting back into the space, taking people up into space, United States, that is, I think that kind of made people excited about getting and capturing the ISS again. Ever since then, it kind of exploded. Plus, it's also something that people can see. The other thing we forgot to mention this year is Comet Neowise. Comet Neowise was this huge thing too, and people were exploding.
Yes,
I'm really jealous of the people up north because they had, I mean, trying to photograph neowise in Florida summer sucked. Okay, I probably had 2 nights total to get this thing, and it still wasn't that great. All these people up north.
I live in a valley between mountains, Derek. It was harder for me.
Well, we had to battle horse or pterodactyl-sized mosquitoes, high humidity. But anyways, yes, mountains are typical too. Monsoon in Arizona is bad, just as bad as Florida stormy season. But yes, people up north, they were getting people in Europe, they were getting these amazing shots because they're higher latitude too. So the comet was higher in the sky, much more transparent. But that was amazing. The ISS transit was amazing. So there's a lot of things that were very awesome to photograph in the sky this time of year, including the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction coming up, the Geminids. So I think there was, for astronomy, it was actually a pretty good year, a very photogenic year as well. But I think the fact that there's a connection of humans launching from Earth here in the United States, going back to the International Space Station, I think that kind of sparked that interest in getting the ISS again. But it's actually a lot of fun. It's kind of like an eclipse where a transit has just a very small area that you can actually see it. So there's like a website called International Space Station Transit where you can actually go online and you can look up the location where you are, and it'll show you the center line in which it actually will transit either the moon or the sun. It's a lot of fun because you're like, oh, I can go here, and it's like this adventure. There's some places I had to go out where I literally had to be out in the middle of nowhere. It's 2.5 hours from my house. There was one time I had to take a picture of it right by a dialysis center, and I had these patients these nurses coming out going, what the heck are you doing here? But I told them what I was doing, and then afterwards I sent that picture to their patients, and the nurses would actually told me, they're like, my patients were never been so happy to see something amazing. And it just lit me up knowing that like I was helping people that were chronically ill, that were suffering inside us, that were happy to see something amazing like that. And here I am. So, it's just really cool where it leads you to. So I think half of it's the adventure side of it as well. And that's what I love about doing that kind of stuff is it's like the solar eclipse where you have to get out somewhere, you have to get prepared. It's just a lot of preparation, a lot of strategy. And then when you get that final image, first off, it only takes literally a split second to get that shot. If you miss it, if you're off by a second or millisecond, you don't get it. So there's a lot of reward and a lot of to the journey and also to the finished product. But I do have an Instagram page. My Instagram is at Derek the Discoverer. So I have all my astro photos on there. So if you're interested, you can check that out at Derek the Discoverer. That's where I do all my astrophotography. But I don't just do astrophotography there. I also post my fossil finds and my other adventures I do. The term I like to use for myself is an explorer. I just have that explorer nature. It's probably because I have ADD. I just don't sit very long. So I got to be doing something. But that's where you can find my photos. I think that's what you mentioned earlier on. But I could, maybe later on we could show some pictures. But I don't want to steal too much thunder from Amy. But that's essentially, I think. And
yeah, Derek, let's wrap that up.
Yeah.
I'm playing that. Wrap that up, boss.
But one last thing I want to say is that it's also amazing to see the Dragon capsule. When you photograph the ISS and you get that silhouette and you see the ISS capsule in there, it's really cool to know that there's like people. It's just the fact that there's people up there using the toilet up in space. And I want to let you know that sometimes when you see a meteor in the sky, it may potentially be a flush from the ISS. Just letting you know that next time you see a shooting star in the sky.
That would be a really big one, though. I feel like that would be. So,
hey, you have
so small.
A lot of fiber in their diet. You gotta.
Fair enough. So that went south literally quickly.
Human feces.
That's what I'm.
Again, Amy. What was that?
I said from frog sex to human
I mean, we have
species,
covered,
right?
we have run the gamut tonight. So, yeah, in very similar way to what Derek's done, Amy, you've worked a lot this year. One that we're all really talking about right now is the Great Conjunction, and I think I've seen New York Times, Boston Globe, Washington Post.
Wow. Okay, so first you're telling me my sound's not better. Is that better?
No, it's better. But you had to turn the
I'm
microphone
gonna talk
up.
right into
Yeah,
this,
yeah,
like I'm
yeah.
the freaking president of the United States in a microphone. I'm gonna eat it. Ah.
Well, you had it turned against you still. Now that you flipped, honestly, just flip it up and leave it. You're probably fine.
Just flip it up and leave it. I mean, I'm gonna just hold it. I'm gonna just hold it like this while I'm
I mean, you
talking.
can hold it there if you want to. That's perfect. We can hear you much better now. Yeah, because we couldn't really hear you. But I mean, so we were introduced to from our mutual friend Sarah Silva. Got to meet last year at Space Fest, doing awesome work for a group of different platforms like Solar System Ambassador. But in particular, you have been the go-to. I mean, I even put you in my Great Conjunction video today with that awesome picture that you had. So thank you for sharing that with me. You do incredible work. You already did anyway, but it was so cool to see you everywhere. Like you're quoted all it's in every major paper. They're coming to you. So let's talk about that a little bit. What it means to be that kind of person. That this is kind of it's your job to.
So first, let's
Yes.
get in a time machine with me, right? Because in 2017, because we're talking about platforming in the pandemic, right? So in this time machine to 2017, in November of 2017, when my persona launched, right? You remember Nerdy Astronomer, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
So when that platform launched, it launched online. So I've always been online. I've always been a virtual personality. And it launched because I was working at a high-powered PR firm. So I've always been a mouthpiece. I've always been the face of things, right, my whole career. And I was riding in the passenger seat of a connected car all the way across the country, right? Like we were driving 7,000 miles, okay, for like 40 days. And there were all these schools who needed science presentations. And I was like, okay, I'm going to figure it out. So Nerdy Astronomer launched virtually. So that happened. So when I came to the Smithsonian in November of 2018, the first thing I did was say, we need a virtual platform, right? So I was already the person that the media would know for science stuff, like in Utah. And I did a lot of total solar eclipse stuff in 2017 too, because that PR firm I worked for, we were doing I worked primarily for that Bill Gates backed startup Chimeta, which is satellites, right? Like they make satellite dishes for connected cars and they make their own internet, stuff like that. So we did testbed support for a lot of cities along the path of totality who couldn't get pop-up cell towers during that time. So, over in South Carolina where they were having a lot of trouble with that. And so the point of all of this is like, I've always been this person that the media is like, oh, okay, well, you like figure stuff out. You know things and you figure out hard problems. And so, flash forward to this time where we're trying to do all of this information for the Great Conjunction and I'm putting out all these little animations and everything. And so the Boston Globe called and needed help. And then just from there, it snowballs. And what's really important about that is that it's all about digestibility, right? It's like everything that I do, all of those animations, like the one that you used, and the science platforming, all of my science videos and everything are all about digestibility. And I talk to the media in that way. And so it's really common for me to get a phone call. This isn't, I know you saw me a lot recently, USA Today, New York Times, Boston Globe, a bunch of other places. But that's not the first time, right? So
it's not at all.
Yeah,
by the way. And I should say that
pretty regularly.
This is a huge thing where I've seen you more than usual, but this is like normally I'll see it's one of those or two of those. This time it's everybody. It's like everybody is Amy.
Everybody needed me. It was really cool. So I want to say that it's really very cool to be able to play that role. And to support the science community in that way and to be known for being that person that they can come to, that I will answer the phone at any time. And that I will, it can be midnight and someone from the USA Today or New York Times, they could call me at midnight and I'm going to pick up the phone because I've always been in that type of job capacity as a science community, always going to pick up the phone for someone. And I mean, although for the New York Times, it went to voicemail, oops, but I called them right back, I swear. But, so that's really cool. And, in that same vein, part of the reason that I've become more popular in 2020, I'm going to put this on Derek, right? That I had this harebrained plan, okay, in April of 2020, right at the beginning of April. And I was like, wouldn't it be cool if we had a star party that ran in every time zone? And Derek already told a little bit of that story, but so I put it out on Facebook. And Derek jumped right on board. And, I've worked with Derek every time we've done one of these star parties, and it's, they're instrumental. And he talked about Frank and Frank's smooth, dulcet tones, helping to, voice over and MC those star parties is really important. And
hey, if you need somebody that is known for their voice, if the thing is, if you need me to do a really good Neil deGrasse Tyson, I'm your guy.
We don't need a Neil deGrasse, and we need a Ron Sparkman. No offense, Neil, if you're out there.
You can be whatever you want to.
you can be Ron Sparkman. And I'm actually gonna give Derek a huge shout out. He's actually in January not only one of our star presenters, but he's also our speaker. We always have a speaker at our star party.
Look at that guy's face. Do the face again. There we go. That's it. Yeah.
He can do that face, but he volunteered himself. He put himself up for bait. But yeah, Ron, so like looping back to what you're talking about with the media, it is so important. It's another platform for us to provide really important scientific information and to do it in a way that generates that excitement for the public. There's a couple of places where they're calling it the Star of Bethlehem, and we don't have enough time tonight suitcase
to complain about that. Yeah, the Christmas star, and it would have been in the east, and it would have been in the morning, and yeah. I'm literally talking to Will Young about that right now. We're just like
been in June.
Yep. You notice the title of mine was. Yeah.
Yeah, we can't unpack that here. We can't. Also, I'm not a religious philosopher or religious researcher, so I really, really can't talk about that. That is not my place in the universe. But so this is it's a good platform. We're always sharing with children and with the general public through the productions that we make. This show, for example, or anything that Nerdy Astronomer does. I'm talking about myself in the third person now.
You're talking about your brand. That's fine.
But or
I'm Stardom, but
yeah, so we can teach in that way and make it accessible. But that first gateway into science is very often the media. And I don't know if you bother to read the articles I write for Earth Sky, but even there, Debbie Bird is amazing. She makes a significant point of all of us there writing so that it's digestible. We describe everything we're talking about. Because that's really that first gateway. It's someone's not necessarily meeting me, right? So if I want them to go out and watch the Great Conjunction, I've got to make it easy to access before it happens.
And I think that's a big point of it. Is just it's taking the news is going to take it and run with it. And there was already great videos out, already people talking about stuff, and it was a little bit of the reason that I kind of played with it in the title was Great Conjunction, so much more than the Christmas star. Like you're going to hear it called this, you're going to hear it called double planet, you're going to hear it called a double star. It's all these things. It's none of those things, and it doesn't have to be those things. And there always has to be some way that it seems that we have to connect these things to something that people understand. Okay, so it is a few days before, Christmas. It's in the middle of the holiday season. Why isn't the holiday star? There's a bunch of different things that we can kind of play around in that. And then, but you get, especially in the U.S., CBS, NBC, everybody is calling it the Christmas star. They're calling it that. Now, I like that there's a little bit more of a play on it. There's, I think it was like TechCrunch said that Jupiter and Saturn were going to kiss in the night sky. That's friggin' adorable. I love that. That's just great. Like, they're not, and that would be weird, and it would be the destruction of our solar system. But that would be the end
That's
of
not
you.
actually funny for 2020. Sorry.
I mean, that was perfect. Like, if they were really going to, there's a really funny one where it shows Jupiter that is so much larger than Saturn, but they're the same size, and Jupiter is under the rings right beside of Saturn, and it's a joke. It's a full joke, and everybody loves it. It's just super funny because that's what it's going to seem to be. And the thing is that people talk about this conjunction. This conjunction is super cool, but some of the most popular content that I've ever put out is you see Saturn either go behind the moon or pop out on the other side of the moon. And it's like somebody has just caught this. It's this gorgeous shot. And there's something about a still photo compared to the atmospheric disruptions that you see that just make it feel real when you see Saturn pop out from behind the moon. It's like a 20-second video, and that thing, people lose their minds. They love that. There's something to it that they just never thought of it that way. Of course it would do that, but it's again a very rare thing, and you have to be a master to be able to capture something like that. And this is not something you have to be a master to capture. You can have a decent telescope, and you're going to see them in the same eyepiece. You're going to be able to see in that same field of view, and that's a really exciting thing to people. And they love that. It's the solar eclipses. It's anything like that. Once people pay attention to it. Comet Neowise was what, the third? We thought that we were going to have the first one. I forgot what the first one was. That we thought was going to be like the comet. Then the next one came where we thought that was going to be the comet. We're like, oh, we're not going to get one of those this year. Comet Neowise. And then everybody and their mother was out just staring at this thing every night, except for Derek because Florida. Sorry about that. That's why Florida man should leave Florida and go to places with other awesome views. Colorado, just saying. But no, I mean, I think that's a really amazing thing that we are fortunate enough to have that in a year like this. Astronomy can be the thing that really inspires people, and it's not just astronomy. And I kind of want to get to this one real quick too because it's two important ones to me. One is Starship. One is Virgin Galactic. And I can only imagine that there's somebody on this call that's super stoked about VG finally flying. But I know as we Martians, that we are you and I, Jake. What was your thoughts? I've seen your tweets about it, but how did you feel finally seeing Starship go up like SN8? How did you feel watching that? It was 2 days like sleepless. Oh, it could be between 9 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're gonna cancel it. We're gonna do the whole next thing the next day. There wasn't a whole lot of sleep last week for that, and. Yeah. Even with the few minutes that it took to do the whole thing, it was so worth it. That is not a regular SpaceX launch. That's not a Falcon 9. That's not a Falcon Heavy. That was a totally different animal. And the thing was, everybody's like, oh, it's a failure. There was no way that launch was going to happen and everybody was going to have eyes on it. People have been camping out in front of that place and driving by it and taking pictures since it's been built. There was no way to just say, we're just going to go do a test. Everybody was going to watch it, and then there's a million different ways that people approach that. But how was that for you? What did it mean to you? Did you love the hell out of it? Are you excited about SN9? SN9, and I guess technically part of SN10 now, since it's doing the lean.
It's such an interesting thing. Now that we have we have so many more private space organizations really sort of...
I'm sorry to interrupt. Hold on 1 second. Wait. Travis Hunter works at SpaceX, and I said this on my Facebook a couple of days ago. He said, we watch streamers, and when they're at their peak, we scrub. Yeah. Once you get 85,000 people watching, we're like, we're done. Sorry, I just had to break that up.
Yeah. So I was saying that it's really interesting that we have these private companies being more involved. They've always been involved in space. They've been building stuff for space for so long. But what's different now is that they are driving the narrative and they're driving the pace and what's happening with it. Right. It's much more of a leadership role. And when you have them involved in that way, what you see is companies doing company things. They're doing the capitalist way where they they try new things, they find ways to do it cheaper, faster, better. And we're finally seeing that happen in space after a long time of it not really happening in the same way. And so this, like the Starship flight, was very much to me like the poster child of what happens when someone tries something different in space. And it obviously worked out really well. You know, one of my podcasting partners, Anthony Colangelo, who co-hosts with me on Off Nominal, he had the best description for this. Is he says SpaceX's strategy is to waste steel and not time. And that is, it's a perfect way to describe it, because they are rolling these things out so fast, and if you fly them and break them and blow them up, it's not a big deal because they've got so many in the wings just waiting to try it, and they're able to iterate so quickly, and it's so exciting to watch. And because of that process that they have, where they're getting so much flight experience, they end up being able to be really talented at it, because this SN8 flight was like a pretty weird thing. It's like you hear the flight plan and you think about anything that's happened in space before, it's bonkers. It doesn't make any sense. You're gonna have
it's so weird.
Massive, like,
it's the space shuttle. It's the space shuttle doing backflips.
Yeah, and it's
what?
And it's flipping over, and it's falling sideways, and it's doing kickflips, and it's like, it doesn't make any sense if like the last 60 years are what you're basing it on, right? So
and it nearly works. And I feel like there's a little bit of, I know it cost $200 and something million, but I feel like he did it for the memes. I feel like Elon was like, flip it about 2 seconds too late. And it's going to be like, because listen, it's very much like they say with Lamborghinis. You never see a commercial for a Lamborghini. You don't have to. You don't have to see a commercial for Tesla, because a Tesla was shot into friggin' space and exactly, with a million different little things. You know what a Tesla is. You don't have to, and they just keep popping up everywhere. But I don't know. Part of me feels a little bit like it might have been just maybe a skosh on purpose, because they knew that it wouldn't. So let's make it really fantastical. Like, there was no way it was really going to happen. Like, the chances that I even said it was like 1 in 3 or 1 in 5, but it was so crazy, and just to watch it, and there's this big huge thing, and to see the inside, and to see them move, like see the engines move. And there was a bunch of people that didn't realize that was going to happen. And then, there was the green flame at the end, where everybody's like, what is that? That's the copper in the engine. It's eating itself. Like, that's why it was over. It's been over. But how cool is this that still, there's just so many pieces to it. And I know that most streamers and people that tweet about it, just, it was fodder. It's still fodder. We're still talking about it. NASA spaceflight has been at it for a week and a half, and they're still talking about it, for the 4 of them. And it's been a really kind of incredible thing. But I know that had to be, are you still kind of eating up like the little pieces of it, or are you just ready for 9? Like,
yeah, I've mostly moved on. I think I'm ready for the next thing. But it's so cool. They're redefining failure, right? Because they had their vehicle crash into the ground and explode, and we were all happy about it. So it's a really interesting sort of paradigm shift that they're doing. And you're totally right about the marketing part of this. Like, Elon Musk has a pretty well-known policy of not spending a lot of money on marketing or PR or anything, both with Tesla and with SpaceX. I think some of us that kind of operate in a more journalistic capacity would love for them to answer emails sometimes, but we get to see some cool stuff, and they are really just changing the game. And it's even if you don't like what they're doing, just the fact that someone's trying something different is just exciting on its own right. So I can't wait for more. I want to see the next, SN9 or 10 or whatever the next thing is going to do the exact same flight profile. Awesome. I'm into that. If they're going to do something bigger, farther, faster, I'm into that too. So it's pretty exciting to watch.
And I can't agree more. I'm excited. So for me, there's kind of 2 steps to this. One for me is that I envision that I will see suborbital space on Spaceship, like it will be through Virgin Galactic, and then I will go to Mars on Starship. That's kind of where my mind kind of looks at things. Like, I'll start here, and then this is the next thing. And so Loretta, I mean, you're talking about, you've waited for so long. You and George both. I mean, and it's not just that you are a soon to be, a commercial astronaut, but on top of that, it's not like your husband has like a small piece in this. CEO for a while, and what's his new title? It's like he runs space. He's basically still the CEO. Not saying anything against the new guy. I don't know the new guy's name yet. But you were muted. But I mean, it's still that. It's still getting us to space. I mean, it's not really like he moved from one position to the next. To me, I just read him like, so he's still the guy that's going to get us to space, basically, is what you're saying. He's going to make sure that we all fly to space. Okay, cool. So I know this has to be a big thing. I know that you watch it, and I know you tweet about it, and you share the details, making sure that everything happens the way that it should. Everything clicks off. It's the safety idea of this, is that nobody can be mad about that. About the fact that these things are going to change. Like, yes, that might have been what people would have said a success. It's still a success. You're still testing. You're still working this out. At every point, you're gonna get to eventually. You're gonna get to the point where this is constantly all the time from spaceport. And I know you got to be excited about it, no matter what happens either way. So, I mean, what do you think? Like, what's your goal? When do you think that it's going to happen? That you're finally going to get to fly? You got to be near the top of the list with George, and you being who you are, right?
Yeah, well, we're founder astronauts, so definitely. Yeah. I mean, we bought our tickets in April 2005. We're one of the first 100 people. That's what it means to be a founder astronaut. Is you're one of the first 100 people to have your money in and your contract signed. So yeah, top of the list. Definitely going to be on one of the first 2 flights of the commercial when we go commercial, which is really exciting because it's really happening. No, but it's really the test flight we did on last Saturday was exciting for me because it was the first time for us flying from New Mexico. So we've done 2 flights to space already from California and Mojave that were successful. We pinned our first 5 Virgin Galactic astronauts, with the FAA. And that was tremendous, even flying Beth Moses in the back and getting to see her floating around, which was really cool.
Love Beth. Well, so Space Symposium, they did the pinning of their wings. That was awesome. Yeah. And then Richard showed up a couple days later, and I didn't even know he was going to be there. I worked there and didn't know he was going to be there. I was like, Richard's there. So yeah, sorry.
No, it's totally fun. So yeah, so getting back in test flight mode, flying from New Mexico, and it's such a beautiful spaceport. I mean, if you're a Star Trek fan, you gotta love Spaceport America. You gotta do the pilgrimage, drive to New Mexico, especially when things open up. For Richard's flight, which will be spring of next year, and see this. It looks like it should be on Tatooine. It's so gorgeous, and see this beginning of commercial operations, which is totally exciting. I loved. We had CJ Sturko flying this last flight. He's a former NASA astronaut, so he was going to be the first person to take off from Florida, California, and then New Mexico, so 3 states. And he's a hoot. So it's just fun to be part of the mix and seeing all this happen. And you want to get to the point where when you do 27 launches in a year, and people are like, "Oh, another Falcon 9 launch? Oh, we've already had 26." Should we tune in? We don't know. It's a good problem to have.
No, I mean, seriously, you're talking about that's how they train up new people. The person that was on the launch the other day was there, but that's funny too because you see streamers like myself and others. So Tori Carissimo he was on the show last week, one of the best ones that's out there, but he is still at the point that he will stream every launch that happens. Tim Dodd's he's busy. He's like, I'm working on the 80th, 90th hour this week. That I'm trying to do this next video doing things. But everybody started with those first ones. He's still excited about the launch. He watched it. But there's, NASA space flight, and there's some of the people that are coming up in a sense. But there's still less than 10 people that are really doing the streamings of these launches. And I am the least educated of the group. I'm more on the astronomy side. But that doesn't mean that I don't want to fly to space on any number of these rockets. I can't wait for this. I'm looking forward to being on Mars. I work for 3 different groups. As we were talking a little bit earlier with me and with Jake and myself. That's a big one for me. But James, I cannot wait for the James Webb Space Telescope. Like that's my baby. Like next year, oh my God, I can't wait. I can't wait to see those first images in 2022, 2023. But I also wouldn't mind coming back from a flight on Virgin Galactic, and landing and being like, then I got to see the pictures. That would be a day. Like, if I could line that up, that would be super awesome. But I know that's got to be something that, to wait that long and to be so invested, and now it's publicly traded and everything else, and I mean, it's your day-to-day life. There's no way that George doesn't come home and have that kind of on his mind, and you as well. And but I mean, so I'm actually glad. I do want to touch on this again because Mac wasn't here earlier. Mac was actually the one that wanted to hear about the what Yuri's Night would be, and it's been so far removed since we first asked this. So in like 90 seconds, if you want to give a breakdown of what Yuri's Night 2021 virtually will look like, Mac, it will be virtual, and you're looking at some big ideas. But I want to touch on this again just because Mac is one of our biggest supporters and asked earlier, and so he finally got back to his hot tub. So I just want to touch on it one more time before we wrap up tonight, what next year is going to look like.
Absolutely. Saturday, April 10th, we're going to be doing like a 5-hour stream again. Saturday night, it's going to be 60th anniversary human space flight, 40th anniversary of space shuttle, 20th anniversary of Yuri's Night party. We've got Richard Branson coming unless something happens. We've got OK Go, the rock band, sharing their the zero-G video that they shot in Russia that we love, and then something new that we're hoping that they're going to have ready to debut. And a host of other astronauts and people who've flown into space sharing about their first-hand experience, and other artists. We have Pauly the PSM was the drummer for the Gorillaz. We're hoping to have him back. He's been part of our event before. He's fabulous. And I was telling them earlier, Megan MacArthur is another part of the Yuri's Night family, is going to be on International Space Station for Yuri's Night this year. So we're hoping we can parlay that into something cool as well.
That's all. So, and I'll mention this. So we Space Symposium a couple years ago. I was talking to a friend of mine, one of the co-creators of Out Astronaut, and we saw that Anne McLean was going to be at Space Symposium. I'm like, is she coming back? Like, and we just don't know it? No. We talked to her. They had an event where she talked to the main room from the International Space Station, and I didn't realize that. I was still in the process there of becoming a contractor, so I didn't know the full details. And there's always a surprise like that, like, oh, we've got like the Blue Shepard, rocket, and they're gonna put it out front. And like, bro, there's gonna be something really cool. You should be there. Jeff Bezos flies in like probably $15,000 jeans and like in a zip-up Blue Origin $15 jacket, and just pops up to do a thing and talk about everything that's going on with Blue. And so, yeah, that was just super cool, and I had no idea that's what it was. I was in school that day, and no, it was, Anne came through from the ISS, and that was how they had like this big, huge room full of people. So that's I love the scale that space can really do things. There's nothing else like that where Yuri's Night, okay, we're gonna do this virtually. Well, then we're gonna get somebody to beam in from space, and we're gonna have like some of the greatest people of all time show up to the show, and Subtractive and Tomorrow Show and that whole group, coming in to be able to help and make it as flawless as it can possibly be. There's still very few people that have stepped up to make it that quality level since then, and they did it like that because they've been doing the SpaceX launches and they've been doing all these things for so long. Sure, we can get 50 people in a room from all over and make it super easy. And that's why they're some of the best, and also some of the best people around. So I can't wait to see what next year looks like.
Absolutely. And even better, Anne McLean just got announced as a Artemis astronaut.
Yes. Yeah. And well, and this is... And of course, there's a special place in our heart for the Out Astronaut creators of she was outed. She would have been probably the first Out Astronaut, had everything that's going on right now, but she was outed through a thing that she's went through the whole system, and it wasn't on her, and it was her ex, and so on. But just to say that there is that whole list is just such a mixture of people and backgrounds and diversity. And there is still in that mix at least one person that we know of that has done interviews and talked about the fact that they are part of the LGBTQ community, and it's just going to continue to happen. It's something that you and I have talked about, Loretta, and you talk about during SpaceKind and everything that you do, and that's something that you are proud to be a part of and share with people. And it's just exciting to see this change. Like 50 years ago when we went to the moon, there is not a lot of diversity in that like middle-aged, white guy, and there's nothing wrong with that. That was pretty much the only people that were fighter pilots, and most everyone that I've met have been incredible. But that's not what it looks like anymore, and that is just the coolest thing in the world. That the world is going to Mars. It is. It's going to be the first woman and the next man, and the next man could very well be a Johnny Kim. Somebody from mixed races that has done everything. How do you go from so just being a Navy SEAL alone is impressive, and then being a doctor, and now you're also an astronaut in training. Okay, cool. So I think it's really truly impressive. So we have about 10 minutes left. 2 hours really flies by when you have an incredible group like this. So what I want to do is give everybody 2 minutes to go over like anything else you want to share, your final thoughts, where people can find you on social media, what else you're up to, and then we'll kind of wrap up. So so what I'll do is I'll do reverse. Derek, I'll start with you first. So I'll give you your 2 minutes to let everybody know what you're up to, where people can find you, all the cool stuff that you have coming up.
Yeah, so again, pretty much all our social for the planetarium is at Seminole Planet. So we have our YouTube page, we have our Instagram, Facebook. We are, believe it or not, I'm going to eventually get on TikTok at some point. But for right now, those are only one man doing this stuff here. So trying to balance it all out. But that's at Seminole Planet is our main kind of username that we use for all it. If you're interested in my astrophotography, it's at Derek the Discoverer. So again, at Derek the Discoverer is my Instagram page for all my astrophotography and things like that. If you're interested in checking that out, pretty much what I have on my mind right now is the conjunction. We're doing a virtual Jupiter-Saturn conjunction virtual star party on Monday, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So if you want to check it out before, we have a lot of people on the West Coast here tonight. So if you're too excited and you want to check it out before it gets too dark for you, you can always join us on that. We're doing that on our Facebook Live as well as Zoom webinars. So if you go to our website, seminolestate.edu/planet, you can find out how to register for that, or you can just watch on our Facebook Live. But that's pretty much it for the rest of the year. Kind of taking a couple of weeks off, enjoy some winter break, but then we're going to be coming back on next year. I'm hoping to do a lot more virtual star parties again. And we're actually working on a ethno-astronomy, cultural astronomy series where we're going to be looking at astronomy from around the world. And I'm going to have various different guests talking about Native American astronomy, astronomy of African cultures, astronomy, East Asian astronomy, and kind of really explore the fact that astronomy is for everybody, astronomy around the world, and how that develops. So I'm really excited about working on that. We're also going to work on these YouTube videos and hopefully have Zeke, my alien friend over here, on several new programs for you all to enjoy.
Love, man. Thank you so much for sharing that. I cannot wait to see what you do next. Maynard, I can only imagine what you're up to next. Maybe you don't have anything going on next. Maybe you're just going to take a break. Maybe you're just going to sleep finally, and then also do a course. You're going to do a master class on how to have your teeth that awesome. Yeah, man, tell us everything that's going on, what you're up to, what's next. Obviously, it's been a huge year for you, just like Derek and everybody else on here. So fill us in, man, and also let everybody know where they can find you on social media. I know it's pretty easy to find you, but let them know.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited about 2021. A lot of things are going to segue from a lot of the events that had started here in 2020. One thing, and Alex, it was actually funny because we're chatting here in our private chat about scuba diving. That's always been that's something that's been on my list recently that I've wanted to do. And that's really kind of sparked from an opportunity. I got this fellowship with Ocean Exploration Trust that I was supposed to go on the expedition this summer back in, it was supposed to be in October, or actually September, or no, I forget, it was like July or October of this year. But obviously with everything going on with the pandemic, that exploration trip got canceled, and that was supposed to be on the Nautilus Live vessel. For anybody that knows about Nautilus Live or anything going on with Ocean Exploration Trust, they've been doing deep sea explorations for the past decade or so, and they bring on different fellows every year, science communicators or educators. And I was awarded the fellowship this year. So since it didn't happen this year, I'm going to be going on board again next year for the trip, and undisclosed location yet, but I think it's going to be somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. So I'm excited about that. I'm going to be preparing for an ocean exploration expedition, which is going to be great. I'm a huge ocean fan because in a way it's kind of like space, because you're exploring the unknown, and we actually know more about space than we do the deep sea. So I'm actually really excited.
That's not true. That's not true. There's no way. I mean, I know people say that, but like, there's no way that's honestly true. That, I mean, like, there's this little tiny itty bitty rock, which is the ocean, and then there's like the universe.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
But yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah.
Scale wise, yes, you can say, because obviously we have millions and millions of light years of the universe to explore for sure. But it's ironic because you think about the ocean, right? And it's right here in our own backyard. It's something that we are part of every day, and there's a larger percentage that we have yet to explore. We're still discovering organisms and stuff every day. So yes, we can debate the specifics of that in terms of scale. We want to for another conversation. I think that'd be great. But yes, nonetheless, I am excited to go on that trip coming up this year. Lots of things happening with the Hip Hop Science platform. Obviously, going to be doing a lot more outreach work this year. I'm going to be doing a lot of more work, hopefully with some colleges and different institutions, some STEM organizations coming up, from everything from workshops to tutorials. I've been doing some work with Dexter School, doing live streams every week. For students, kind of delivering science in different ways, and I utilize my Hip Hop Science platform to do that. So I'm going to continue doing some more educational outreach this year. My goal with this platform is always to develop this into a show. So I'm willing this into existence. 2021, we will have something on some network. I'm going to make this Hip Hop Science show happen. So that's on the list of different things to accomplish for this year. And then business-wise, we got a lot of things happening with Jada Brands. We're going to hopefully be getting in stores nationwide, and hopefully international as well too. So bring more plant-based, sustainable options to the market. That is definitely on the list as well too. So however I try to accomplish that in 2021, I'm going to make all those things happen. I got on my agenda and my calendar right here. So I write it down, and I will will it to existence. So those are a couple things, few of the many things in the works at the moment.
Love it, man. I have no doubt that you'll do it. You're always killer at everything that you do. So I cannot wait to see it. Loretta, so SpaceKine 2021, get ready to start that. I mean, within the next few years, finally going to space, having the honeymoon, the first honeymoon in space. There's so much that you have going on, so let everybody, I mean, you pretty much, I think you've told everybody pretty much, but if you want to reiterate anything, or if there's anything that you haven't shared yet, who knows with you, you might be working on your second and plus third book. The Audible's coming out, so you're busy as always.
Yeah, that was what I was most excited about, is I wanted to share that the New Right Stuff, my book, is coming out on Audible next month. I was working with Subtractive to do all the recordings. We got it submitted to Audible, and they have about 30 days to review it. So I'm finally gotten this. That was a big project for me. So I'm excited for January to keep your eyes out on Audible, to be able to listen to my melodious voice reading to you the New Right Stuff, and how to use space to bring out the best in you. So that's a lot of fun. Really excited for that. Then, yeah, absolutely. If you want to join us for SpaceKine training, 8 weeks, like boot camp to launch for 2021, and become a really part of a really powerful cohort, because we'll have like probably 20 people in the class, and it really becomes your team that you're going to go through your careers with, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, that's launching January 11th, 2021. Go to spacekind.org to find out more.
Fantastic. Always busy, always awesome stuff coming from Loretta. And again, I've done it, so a little bit earlier, I made the joke. Somebody mentioned Dr. Simon Proctor. Simon Proctor, myself, a bunch of incredible people were a part of that first class. I know the second class had a lot of our friends that wanted to do it the first time, that they all heard it from us. Yes, go do this. Worth every penny. I do know that there's always something that you give, like if you do the class and you finish the class and you can get a certain part back from it. I don't know if you're still doing that or if that was only for the first ones, but you always do some cool stuff like that, and it's a wonderful experience, especially with everything that's going on, to meet people that are trying to focus in this sort of atmosphere and make things better and do more. And try to make the best of a bad situation. It is one of the best groups that you're going to find. Absolutely incredible. So thank you for coming on, Loretta. Amy, let's go to you. I can only imagine what's up next. Is there anything that you possibly doing for the Great Conjunction?
We're not done. We're not done. No, I actually am piggybacking on Derek. Why fix something that's not broken? So we follow Derek for the conjunction, because I'll just be stealing his stream for that. It's always great to have good friends that you can do that with. Actually, I do partner with SLU on a lot of things, and so I'm trying to figure out still this weekend if we'll be able to share their stream from Maximum Conjunction, because Maximum Conjunction, Ron, is actually at a time that the United States won't be able to see it. It's for Mountain Time, it's at 11:20 in the morning. And so, but it'll be evening in the Canary Islands, where SLU has telescopes. And so I'm sort of trying to figure that out. And I know they'll also be sharing it on their YouTube. So we'll piggyback on that somehow as well. But our next big event is actually a new event, and it's on December 29th. And a lot of people on here are probably familiar with Deep Sky
Talking
Dude.
to him right now.
He's joining in on this event.
I don't know that he's watching
right now.
I'm just saying, I constantly talk to Will all the time.
Okay. Well, Will knows he committed. He actually was the first person to finish doing everything for this event. And it is called Librations, right? Like it's a play on words, libations. Get it? So the first one is December 29th, and that's at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. You have to register for it, so you actually have to go to our Facebook page. You can just look us up on Facebook. It's FL Whipple Observatory, and you'll find the event there. And it's a happy hour, and we're going to just shoot the shit about the moon. But also, Tim Pelleran from Constellation Cocktails is helping me out by coming up with a moon-themed cocktail. So this month's theme is Librations, drinking about the moon. Get it? So I'm waiting for someone to laugh.
But I'm muted.
Ron, laugh.
Well, I told you, like, we mute everybody. We mute ourselves while you're talking.
Don't mute you. There needs to be some laughter. So, we have a really good slate up. That's also the night of the full moon. So it'll be a really fun event for the first time. And we've never done programming like this specifically aimed at adults, right? But for anybody who doesn't drink, I'll actually be making a mocktail, right? So we'll put out the instructions a week in advance. So on Monday of this week, really, we'll put out the instructions so you can buy all the materials. Then we'll make a cocktail and a mocktail, and then we'll just chat about the moon. And so that's a new thing for us. And then in January, I'm reminding Derek for the third time tonight that he's the presenter at the Star Party. And we haven't picked a date for that yet, but somewhere in the middle of January that'll happen. And then this is actually the 53rd year of the Smithsonian Astrophysical Observatory's lecture series, New Vistas in Astronomy. And the silver lining of the pandemic is I can invite scientists from anywhere. So this is going to be a really interesting year. And I recommend everybody kind of get on board with that and start watching for those dates to pop up, because we have some really interesting people that we're going to be inviting this year. And I'm not going to actually tease that because it's fun for me to keep it a secret. I'm a terrible person like that, but I want to keep it a secret because it's really fun for me to introduce some of these new
Fantastic
scientists.
stuff. And last but not least, Jake Tastic, the man, the myth, the legend. Let everybody know what you're up to, where they can find you, what you got going on as we head into the new year.
Yeah, well, I'll make it short since we're over time here, but real simple. So, I mean, I've got two main podcasts that I like to share with people. It's a good entry point into the work that I do. So, wemartians.com, wemartians.com. That's where you can find my planetary science. Mars and Moon is the two kind of where I focus. You can see it back here, my two favorites. So that's interviews with scientists, engineers, and communicators, all sorts of different people working on that. Very excited for 2021 because we have a lot of spacecraft arriving at Mars just in February. So we're ramping up our coverage for that. And then my other podcast is Off Nominal. So you can get that at offnominal.space. It's very casual, once a month. My friend Anthony Colangelo and I will bring on a lot of journalists. Ends up being a lot of space journalists, but other people as well. And we just sort of do really goofy stuff. We just had our end of the year show where we celebrate our Off Nominal awards, and they are basically the weirdest, wackiest space stories of the year. Sometimes things blowing up, stuff that bizarre stuff that happens in space news. It's kind of fun to talk about, and we crown a winner for the weirdest one. So we had Tim Dodd on to share that with us, and it was pretty fun. So check out those two podcasts, and if you like that, you'll like.
Fan-damn-tabulous. Well, thank you, everybody. I cannot thank you enough for coming on tonight. Such an incredible group to finish up the year. Monday night, the Great Conjunction, you're going to be able to see it from a bunch of people that are on here. We're going to be doing one for the Space Foundation, for the Discovery Center. Just me and Jeff. Like, it will not be anywhere near the level that I'm sure that Amy and Derek will be doing it, but we're going to have some fun there, so go check us out. SF Discovery Center on Facebook, SFD Center on Twitter. Had to think about it for a second. And then Space Foundation 1 on Facebook, Space Foundation on Twitter, the @ before. It's going to be really fun. Obviously, we're ending the year incredibly. We didn't even talk about, I don't even think we really talked about the eclipse at all. We really didn't talk about Geminids. There's just been so much that's happening. We touched on Starship. It's been an incredible end to the year. And thank you so much. I did not expect this show to be anywhere near what it has been. The guest list has been incredible. I can't wait to go through eventually someday when I have slept and have time and just take all the clips and splinter out all the awesome content that's been here and make little 1-2 minute videos of all the awesome stuff. Eventually I'll have the money to pay for that. And if you enjoyed what we did tonight, go check us out on patreon.com/stardom. Help support the channels. It's greatly appreciated, and it will help me to pay more people to splinter this content out and share all the cool stuff that we got this year. I've got quotes from everybody from the Loretta Whitesides to the Maynard Okereke. By the way, carrot cake was the best thing ever to let me realize the best way to say your last name. Thank you for that. To Neil deGrasse Tyson, Bill Nye, Bobak Ferdowsi, and Elon Musk. It's been an incredible year. Thank you for allowing me to do this job that I love so much. It has been a blast. We will be back on January 9th, and I believe that's going to be our climate change show. So I'm sure that people will be on and be angry, and we're going to prove you wrong with facts, we hope, and then also field your questions and help you learn a little something that maybe will change your mind a little bit. So once again, thank you everybody for joining us. Cannot wait till the next show. We will see you all soon, and of course join us on Monday nights for that awesome Great Conjunction here on Stardom at Stardom Space. Facebook, Twitter is where you're going to see that live stream. We will see you all soon, and good night, good morning, good evening, and if I don't see you, good afternoon and something like that. I don't remember. It's been a while. Bye, everybody.